Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. God damn it. I knew if I stood here long enough, someone would applaud. Thank you very, very much. This seminar that's coming up has to do with concentrates, dabs. And I'm not a big dab doer myself, so I kind of worry because it looks like all the pot in the world is being made into dabs. So people got to lay off. Just leave some for the joint smokers. Just leave a little bit. Anyway, this is going to be a great panel. It's always one of our most popular panels here at our Medical Cannabis Cups. And going to be plenty of time for Q&A afterwards because I know this is an important subject for everybody here today because everybody's getting medicated out there. Anyway, I want to introduce you to the moderator of our panel. He's the author, the writer of Almost Infamous, which is in High Times magazine every month. He writes a lot on veterans issues, and he also, of course, writes a lot on concentrates issue. Everybody, senior editor of High Times, Bobby Black.
Hey everybody, how you doing today? So we're here to talk about concentrates, about dabs, about BHO, whatever you want to call it. We've been doing this panel for a couple of years now, and I found that it's been very popular. There's a lot of people out there who don't know much about the topic and are learning very quickly about it and hearing about it from friends and in the media and stuff. And then there's the more hardcore crew in the cannabis community who are exposed to this kind of stuff like we are on a more normal basis and are aware of it and have tried it and are into it. So usually what I like to do when we do these panels is I like to kind of gauge where our audience is at, and let me just ask, is there anybody here who's not familiar with BHO or who doesn't know what dabbing is? Okay, I think that's pretty much covered. So I guess we can skip some of the super easy introductory stuff then and talk a little more about techniques, a little more about the way things are going. So let me introduce you to our illustrious panel here. To my immediate right is the owner and president of Trichome Technologies, whose work has been in High Times for about 20 years now. Please welcome Kay from Trichome Technologies. Next up, we have someone who's not in your guidebook, but who we are happy to have on the panel. This is Mr. Addison Demora, owner-operator of Steep Hill Laboratories. And moving on down the line, we have the head chemist from Fresh Off the Buds Extractions. He holds a degree in biochemistry from the University of California. Please welcome JJ. And then we have another somewhat unintended guest. Please welcome to the panel, Mr. Ganja John. And finally, last but not least, down on the end, we have Mr. Wheezy Dabs, who is a consummate hash maker from Southern California. He is one of the top concentrate makers for Superior Extracts and a multiple Cannabis Cup winner. Give it up for Wheezy. All right, guys, so let's talk about what the current state is of the BHO scene. I'm just gonna kick it down the row and kind of give like an introductory statement about what you feel about what's going on and where you're at with the whole phenomenon.
Phenomenon is. I've never seen anything take over the cannabis industry like dabs have. It just absolutely amazes me where it's gone in 1 year since we were here last year and where we are this year. The quality is just absolutely incredible. I've never seen anything just revolutionize the industry, and it's going to be very interesting where it goes in the next 5 years.
I think it kind of starts with dabs, but it's found its way into terpenes and other cannabinoids, and it's getting into different processes and winterization and trace residue analysis tests, and it's starting to get to the point where a lot of people's misconception about it is beginning to get curtailed by the science and the other good stuff. So.
Yeah, I think I have to agree with Addison. I think in the next 6 months to a year or so, a lot of testing is going to be done. A lot of fallacies that are out there are gonna, be disproven or, proven. A lot of information is starting to surface, so it's a good time to, yeah.
4 years ago at the first MedCanCup here in San Francisco, I took my first, in hindsight, really, really sketchy dab. And yeah, in 4 years it's changed so much, and every 6 months it seems like technology, it just doubles. More people are making it, more people are making it unsafely, and but I think it's on this level it's getting so much better. It's creating a really amazing medicine that you're not really going to find anywhere else.
Yeah, correct. I just want to see like the innovation. Like even Kenny's got a lot of stuff and a lot of knowledge that he's going to tell you guys today that I'm really even interested in. We're trying just to make better medicine. Even like I told him, we're working on trying to make a cancer cream from the THCA that will hopefully eat the skin cancer, not even just internally, just by topical. And one of the things he's doing is going to put us a little bit like a great advance in what we're doing. So should be good.
Yeah, so what's interesting is about the whole BHO scene is that, like you're saying, it started off, well, it started off a long time ago. I mean, people have been doing extractions for forever, but the current craze, started off, and a lot of people were sketched out about it, thinking, oh, this is not healthy, this is, impure, this is, made, why is this necessary? Can't we just smoke flowers? Can't we just use traditional methods? But the interesting thing that I've seen from this whole process is that it's really brought, in the past, pot was about botany. Like if you were a weed nerd, you were about grow techniques and breeding techniques. And now this is like chemistry rather than botany. And chemistry has kind of taken over the cannabis scene. And people are isolating every little aspect of every little terpenoid, every little cannabinoid. And what that's opening up, the possibilities that that's opening up is pretty amazing. And I don't think that those things would have happened if it hadn't been for the extraction movement that's going on, So I'll let you talk first, Kenny, and then again pass it down. But what are some of the advances that have been made recently, through the breakdown of marijuana and its, into its parts?
Well, the biggest advantage is the isolated compounds. Here's the terpenes. There's untold amount of terpenes in this compound because we're not allowed to do science and we're not allowed to study these. And the medical benefits of this we're not allowed to study either. And this here is THCA, which, undecarboxylated THC. And if we weren't doing these experiments with isolating just raw cannabinoids and doing all these experiments, none of this would be possible. So that's what Bobby's talking about, the revolutionaries.
And let me just clarify. I mean, I like to try to speak to even the people in the audience who may not understand every little technical aspect. These are terpenes. These are liquid terpenes. These are the essential oils that make up the aromas and the flavors of each strain. So this is just the flavor and smell. Like if you wore this, it would be like pot cologne. But it's so that's been isolated and pulled out of the plant, and then this is THCA, which is the solid form of THC. And it's not been decarboxylated, meaning that the heat hasn't activated the THC in it. So this in and of itself would not get you very high until you heat it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's just interesting to see the different textures and different things that can be brought out of a plant, and so would this be considered hash? I mean, like if the cops pulled you over, is this active?
No, it's not active. It's not considered hash. It's just a separate component, just THCA. It is what it is.
So theoretically, you couldn't be busted for that.
I'm not a lawyer.
That's a good answer. That's a good answer. So, Addison, you work in the testing industry, so you obviously give us your perspective on it from that perspective, as far as how many people seen online, at least one a week for the past several months. Some other study that's come out from France or from Israel or from wherever saying pot helps with this, pot helps with that, pot's been proven to cure cancer, and nobody in the mainstream media is covering it. Nobody, in the major medical industry is really, because the government won't let real research happen, right? I mean, is that something that you guys?
Yeah, that's true. Basically, like since the Schedule 1, my doctor even tells me, he's like, I can give you this advice, but I never told you this. He's like, if I give you any advice that has to do with that plant, I can get my license taken away. And I'm like, well, I got all this proof. And there's a lady I know also that had all this proof. She went to all these doctor boards. You know what they told her? Well, we're glad that that herb or natural medicine helps you, but we can't even talk to you about it. Even though she could prove in medical records that it helped her, they don't care. They can't listen to that at all.
I started out using cannabis on dialysis, and I mean, if we had had the CBD oil or the stuff these guys are working on, I was doing, you know, really kind of, you know, primitive dabs back then, and the cramping that went on and all that stuff, the doctors could see, they'd watch me do it, that this vaporization helps, but it doesn't matter, it's illegal. This is stuff that would have happened in the 80s. These kind of that we're helping just by making this. I did it out of necessity, because I needed medicine. And my doctor told me that you're not smoking green matter, you're vaporizing, then I don't see a problem with what you're doing. And I got a kidney transplant out of it, you know, so they must think something is going right.
Yeah, and there's, you know, initially when the BHO craze hit, the biggest backlash I was hearing from people is about, they felt that it was, you know, not being made naturally, or that it was, it has an adverse effect on the health. Like inhaling all that butane has got to be bad for you. But I don't think that any of the data really backs that up. And I mean, obviously, if you're someone who's making bathtub BHO and you're using terrible butane and you're not purging well, then yeah, whatever you're going to create is probably not going to be good to smoke. But it seems like all the data that's come out has been the opposite. Has been said that if you make it right and you purge it right, you know, this is healthier and cleaner for you than the actual plant, you know, and you're probably ingesting less of it, so, you know.
I can understand where those people are coming from, because what I was seeing as, you know, working with Normal and working on a radio show, what most people are seeing is people making BHO on YouTube. I saw what these guys were doing, and I learned from guys like these. When you're exposed to what people are doing on YouTube, you're gonna blow yourself up. Simple as that. And if you don't know how to work with chemicals, don't fucking do it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, same thing with like when you watch Breaking Bad, you know, like you think like Walter White knows what he's doing, you know what I mean? But like the other guys, who knows? But yeah, that's a perfect chance for me to insert the obligatory disclaimer. Just to reiterate, we do it at all of our panels and in all of our DAB stories. That High Times does not recommend that people make BHO at home on their own. It's something that's best left to professionals like these gentlemen who know chemistry, who have labs and equipment that know what they're doing. And if you are going to do it, then by all means, never ever do it inside. Always do it outside, not near anything that could cause a spark. Not a cell phone, not a lighter, not anything, because it's so. I mean, if you just, like he was saying about YouTube or even the news, if you just Google it, I mean, videos will come up and you'll see news reports, police reports of hotel rooms blown up, garages blown up, people with third-degree burns all over their body. It's just not worth it for some hash, you know? I mean, it's great stuff, but it's not worth that. So that's just our disclaimer. But I do want to keep talking about the health benefits or possible risks that could be involved. Is there any legitimate cause for concern in any of your opinion?
I mean, I think most people can communicate online and in forums and on Facebook and other stuff like that. So a lot of people know each other from that medium. Typically, when I see things on there, it's somebody coming and bashing one, and they're coming from the side of they're very solventless, and you know, they have all these very different views of it. But there's usually motivation behind it. I think right now you're starting to see that there really isn't much of an issue. There's some paper tigers that are on Facebook that want to cause a ruckus and start fights, but I don't think that there's necessarily anything to talk about. I mean, when you're selling water hash for $60 a gram to dispensaries that then sell it for $100 a gram, it's a cool boutique-y thing that's kind of neat. But when it comes to medicine, and I think that's what the people on the panel are mostly about, is medicine, real good, strong medicine. You know, it's about making stuff that's clean, that's going to be good for people, and it's not really about the price. If you're putting a price behind it and trying to cause a fight or an argument about something,
thing. It's sort of one of the worst parts about this whole thing, it seems like. But I think that for the most part, it seems that everybody's, you know, making products that are clean and trying to do it the right way and trying to be positive about it. But one of the things that annoys me the most, and I'm just going to take the panel over and talk about what annoys me the most, to be honest with you. That's how I feel this afternoon. So, but no, it's I think that when you see what people can do outside of the whole argumentative and fighting, you know, we're all doing the same thing. We're all trying to make it better. We're all trying to support the same cause. There's arguments between what's best and what people think's the greatest. I think that all of it's good. I mean, everybody knows what a shitty dab tastes like, and if you take a shitty dab again, then you're dumb. That's the other thing. Like, that's very important. You know, like you should like tell your friend to throw that dab away, or you can clean it. Actually, you can talk to these guys and learn how to winterize it and make a shitty dab into a good dab. That's what's great about it. That's the best part about it. Nothing's bad. Like.
That's a good transition, because talking about the health and purity, I wanted to ask Kay real quick about you're famously known for removing the fats, lipids, and waxes from the concentrates and making them into much purer shatters. So talk a little about, you know, what the winterization process is, why you do it, and what the result is.
The process of winterization is basically just capturing the lipids, the fats, and waxes by a method of freezing them. First, you suspend them in alcohol, ethanol alcohol. So you collect your butane the way you normally would, and as it dissipates, before it starts to coagulate, you add ethanol alcohol to prevent it from congealing. And then once it's suspended in the alcohol, you put it in a freezer for 24 hours. Then after that, all those things, those contaminants, they bind together. Then after that, you pour them through a coffee filter, and then you eliminate the lipids, fats, and waxes by filtration. But one of the benefits is one thing I ask you is, anybody doing winterization processes right now, do not get rid of the waste. The waste contains trapped terpenoids, and it also is what I produce this THCA with, which is a fascinating thing. It's a complete byproduct, waste product that now you can do something incredibly beneficial with. And most people that are utilizing a vacuum oven right now aren't properly collecting they're actually losing terpenes into their vacuum pump oil. And by the utilization of an LN2 full trap with liquid nitrogen inside, they're able to scrape that ice, collect that ice, and then recapture your terpenes to be able to put them back into your concentrate. So that's why some people are kind of noticing that maybe a butter or a unwinterized or just a whip product tastes a little bit better than a shatter, because if it's been put into a vacuum oven, you've lost some of those terpenes because they're alcohol based, and they evaporate at very low temperature, or very high temperatures, and very low boiling points. So given the two, they evaporate very, very quickly. But this is a way to collect them, is with an LN2 full trap. But don't get rid of your waste, because very, very quickly there will be an article that shows you exactly what to do with that waste.
All right, JJ, I want to kick it down to you. So what are the, I mean, I know a lot of people, he's one of the proponents, and I know there's a lot of the extract artists are proponents of removing those fats, lipids, and waxes to make a pure product. But there are a lot of people that seem to prefer leaving some of that in because of the texture or consistency that it creates, you know, and the argument is, well, that stuff is in the plant anyway, so how bad could it be for me to smoke it in this, you know? So what are your feelings about how pure a concentrate should be, and what the different textures are, the benefits, or?
I think that really, I mean, it all depends on what your overall goal is. I mean, it's still going to be technically cleaner than smoking flowers as far as getting the waxes and the plant matter. It just all depends on what your end goal is. You know, do you want just THC? Do you want to remove the terpenes? Do you want to leave some terpenes in? You know, you could theoretically, if you had a high CBD extract, you could drive off THC just by increasing to whatever temperature it is that THC vaporizes at, and you won't pull off CBD, and you'll increase the increase the CBD percentage of your oil. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do to selectively remove or add things into your oil. You know, he could then take those terpenes and add them back in. It's very difficult to do. I don't know actually how you would go about doing that, but you know, that's something that, you know, people are going to start doing. like I said, just game-changing things are coming.
The coolest trick you can do is if you can take mangoes and cut them up and eat mangoes fresh about 30 minutes before you dab, and you get a lot higher. And you get to eat tasty mangoes, which is even better. It works though, because the myrcene that's in the mangoes, only if you eat it, and you don't want mangoes that are hard or green. You want them to be nice and ripe, but there's a lot of myrcene in the ones that are ripe. And the gushier and kind of more ripe it is, the better it is, but you cut them up and then eat those and then dab, and you'll get even higher actually. It works for sure. Your weed will be better, or your dab will be better. But.
That's an interesting thing. I did not know that.
I was going to say it all depends on what your needs are too, what you're going to do to the oil. If I'm going to take a dab for pain, I might want one thing. If I'm going to give my mom a dab, I might not want to get her as high. There's a difference between a recreational dab and a medicinal dab, I guess. And I mean, I could make different ones all day long. It just depends on who your end user is, and I think it's good to learn how to make all that stuff.
Yeah, I want to actually ask you, Lazy, anyway, because I noticed that some of the stuff you make tends to be, it tends to auto butter sometimes and stuff. The stuff you make's a little creamier than some of the stuff some other guys make. And I'm just curious, like, what's different about your process, and why you prefer it that way?
Well, I mean, it just depends on what I'm making. Like, I mean, I have shatter here that I made, I have butter here that I made, I make whatever. But most of the time, like on those, they're too fresh and they have moisture in them. So no matter what, and it has to do with the client itself. I don't have decisions on some people that I work for. I can only do so much. And if they say they want this done now, you do it now, or you don't work for them, and it goes on to somebody else. So, and that's the main reason why, especially hardcore in Paris always auto orders, because they want it done yesterday. You know what I mean? They're like, hey, it's not done. What do you mean? I'm like, you just dropped it off.
The back version.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they just want it done. And then if I I over purge per se all the time, because I have this thing with shatter. Like, I want to get it to me, butter when it's dry. You've got most of the butane out. Not 100% if you didn't do it right, because you can still trap it even when it's dry. I've seen it happen. But with the shatter, there's no possible way to really, really tell when it's out. I don't care if you do it for, some people say, oh, when it stops bubbling. Well, guess what? I got stuff that I ran for 2 weeks, it's still bubbled. Whether it's the turf bubbling out, whatever it is, I can't tell you that, because I'm not a machine, I don't have a lab in front of me. I can only take my end product, get it tested by them, and then I go, oh, okay, let me do, okay. But I'm still taking time to do all that. But without me having an actual lab right there that I can work with every day and sitting there, there's no possible way for me to find out. And that's one of the reasons why I do shy from it a little bit, because it's just the process for me. Like this, it's bomb. You taste it, it's good. It's been shattered. It's over 2 weeks old. It's super fire. It's cracking right here. But I mean, it's it's good. No auto butter, but I let it sit. I let it dry out. I let it cure to where I wanted it to be, not where they wanted it to be.
I'll check that out later.
I think too, it's good to emphasize too that all of us extract artists are not growers. We're at the mercy of our growers. Botany, 100% matters. And you can call yourself an alchemist all you want. I can't turn shit into gold. You got to give me gold to make gold. Yeah.
I am a grower, and I feel that the art of growing cannabis is being lost by some of this. Because people can hide their mistakes. They can cut it down early, they can get bug infestations, they can do all kinds of shit, and then they can turn around and just blow it out. They don't care. They don't care about the art of cultivation anymore. So yeah, definitely, if you grow good plants, you'll have good dabs, or concentrates, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, so pay attention to what you're growing, pay attention to the art of growing, because that is the fundamental basis of what you're trying to do.
Yeah, and to that point, I mean, when you make a concentrate of a plant, you're concentrating everything that's in that plant. So if there were good or bad, if there were pesticides, if there was mold, if there was anything, not right with that plant, you're getting that in its concentrated form also into your extract. So you have to make sure you're starting with really good, pure, good genetics, pure, nicely flushed, nicely, harvested plants. I'm actually going to open it up to questions a little early this time around, because last couple times we haven't had a chance to do many questions. So if anybody has questions they'd like to ask these guys, specific techniques or just in general, step up and I'll hand you the microphone and then you can ask it.
This is a question that I'm sure is on a lot of people's minds. We look at the vaporization point of the different cannabinoids like THC. It's very low. It's in the mid to upper 300s. And yet when you heat a nail, you're looking at 1,200, 1,500 degrees. What are we actually vaporizing?
Well, when you heat a nail, you don't hit the nail when it's directly hot. And what happens is, and what's really cool is that it cools really fast. Depending on the room temperature, most people aren't standing in a giant oven, so the nail cools really quickly. So it may be 1,200 degrees when it's burning red hot, but by the time you put that dab to it, anybody in their right mind knows not to hit a red nail. You're down to 600 really quick. If you're a connoisseur, if you're a guy that's just a terp hunter, you're waiting for 400. Like a lot of my friends will blow on the nail and wait, and you're like, come on! And then they try to hit that sweet spot. And then, if you're one of the luckiest of the lucky and you have an e-nail, you can mess with your numbers, and Task creates an e-nail which is electronic, and you can lower numbers. You can come to good labs and actually get terpene reports that show your boiling points, and you can sit there and mess around and lower the numbers. There's different nails that highly educated make that have bigger heads with larger pulls in them, so they'll cool quicker, but they'll capture what you have inside, and the new flux nails. So there's a lot of different stuff that you can do, but those temperatures drop really quick. Most of the people on the panel, I think everybody up here is probably hitting a 400 degree nail, at least, or at the highest. So it cools really quickly. Nobody's hitting a 1,200 degree nail for sure.
Anybody else have a question?
If you are, don't.
First of all, thanks for taking the time to answer our questions. Do you not feel that heating the titanium nails up are releasing free radicals, and how do you feel weighing quartz against titanium? I mean, I understand we're letting it cool.
No, well, if you look it up, just for instance, just go on the internet and look up carcinogenic hazards from like OSHA and stuff. Just so you know, titanium has none and quartz has them. Just between us. Well, what do you got to say? Okay. No, I just want to know.
Yeah, I mean, this is a concern, and now, I mean, 2 questions in a row, but this is a concern that I've heard.
Yeah, you're correct. It is. It is metal, but there's nothing that vaporizes. Especially, okay, look at, even if you went with a grade 5 nail, which has aluminum in it. See, it's pure titanium. That's the thing. If you got a grade 2, it's 100. No, but this is what I'm telling you. 100% titanium. If you get a grade 5, it has aluminum inside of it. But no matter what, as long as you don't get that nail over 2,000 degrees, the aluminum never vaporizes off, and it is safe to use it under 2,000 degrees. Just between us, and it will stop your oxidation from happening to your nail. It'll bring it at a slower rate. So as long as you're not sitting there and blasting at 2,000 degrees, a regular torch will not get that nail 2,000 degrees. The regular vector will not. It's right, like the highest I've gotten one is like 15, like right around like, well, 16 he said. I got 15 on mine. 16, you know what I mean? But there you go. So it's like, I'm never getting it hot enough to even vaporize ones that do have aluminum in it to pull it off. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing being vaporized, or there's nothing, none of the metals are burning off in there, turning into metal fumes, which is exactly what you don't want. Where I've seen actually dabbing nail, or dabbing just oil, and you see that metal hue, where somebody left solvent in it, and you're dabbing metal fumes. That's what that is.
And you can go and look at highlyeducated.com. It's one of the companies, one of the original companies that, I like that company because they've done the research, they post the information, they'll sit on the phone with you and talk about the information. They're the ones that are purchasing the titanium. They know quite a bit about it, and they work with it quite a bit. And the owner of the company loves dabs and cares about people's health too. He's a good person. So you can go to those sites and read that stuff and see. But exactly what he's saying, unless you're, if you're a glass maker, and a lot of glass makers don't sit in their spots and slide the nail underneath because it's so hot. It's exactly the same reason, because it's all about the temperature that everything's being done at. A lot of people had a scare about benzene poisoning because the effects of benzene poisoning are a lot like a dab. You lose your breath, your head gets all creepy. Well, you just took 30 milligrams of THC and you've never done that before. And that's what made your head all creepy and made you kind of wheezy, not the other, because the temperatures tell us a lot. The hottest the vector gets is 1,600 at the most, and you're talking about 2,000 degrees is what would be needed to get that effect. So,
and that's on aluminum, which is totally different than titanium. The titanium still won't vaporize at the 2,000 either.
And people probably shouldn't use those like $16 Walmart mac gas switches.
Well, that's the thing. If you use a mac gas, that's what I was going to say a second ago. Like, I blow glass sometimes, and when I've been at the thing, if I use the torch that we use to blow glass,
For one, my nail will oxidize instantly because I just burn the crap out of it. I just burn everything. Literally, you're getting it hot enough to where it can vaporize itself. Just, it is.
Yeah, and John just said something really important. Nails, all this equipment that you're using, a lot of the glass stuff's really beautiful, so it's expensive. It took a long time to make. The titanium, you can get tricked into buying something that's really inexpensive, that's really dangerous for you too. You want to make sure that you spend the money and get a really good nail from a reputable company that you can communicate with. If you go into a glass shop and you buy a $12 nail, you don't even know what you just bought, and you very well could be just, somebody just made 6 cents on you and they don't care, or they made a lot on you, they paid 6 cents for it, but
I see titanium nails on Amazon that are GR2 or GRD2. They're not grade 2. That's the name of the Chinese company that's making it, or stamping whatever the hell they want on it. So, I mean, you hear about a good deal of getting these nails at $8 a pop. Don't buy them. That's stupid. It's not titanium. It's a chunk of aluminum. It's going to last you a couple weeks before it kind of starts to go and turns in on itself and melts.
Or maybe it won't. Maybe it doesn't even melt on you, and what you're getting off of it is slowly killing you. And I don't want that, because then you're going to blame the dabs, and it's not the dabs. It's that cheap-ass nail. So don't be cheap. Buy a good nail and make sure you use... you can look through High Times, you can look through some of the other companies and buy something that's reputable, and you're a lot safer by doing that.
I've actually been talking about doing a nail review feature in the near future. So I'm going to do I'm planning to do down the road at the end of the year a nail review, and then probably a torch review as well. So just so that we'll be able to continue, High Times, we want to be able to provide you with the information that you need to make the best choices with your medicating, with your recreating, whatever. And so, we've done vapor pen reviews and vaporizer reviews, and now that we're moving into this arena, I think it's important that we stay with the culture and keep covering every aspect of this, from the most detailed to the most broad, just like we do with growing. We need to be able to, because people count on us to get the right information, so we want to make sure we give it to them.
And all of us, we all have our preferred equipment, and just ask us. We're all really approachable. But it comes down to a vector torch, a blazer torch, a highly educated nail, or a Dab Essentials nail. I'm not afraid to say it. That's it. I won't buy anything else.
Were you paid to say that? Seriously?
Tell us how you really feel.
How much would they pay me to tattoo their logo? No, I'm just kidding. So, what else? So, you were talking. Oh, okay. You go.
Just a clarifying question about not solvents, but cleansers. Like, as a panel, what's your opinion on things like grape spirits or alternatives? Do you guys have a preferred alternative, or do you guys, as a panel, what would you prefer?
Absolutely, I love the grape spirits. OrganicAlcohol.com makes an incredible grape spirits. They import it from France, 190 proof, just absolutely amazing, very clear. Can't say enough about it. So yeah, love it for winterization or anything else. Yeah, send it to your house, no problem.
We have a lab. We don't make anything. We just test stuff to make sure it's safe. So.
Yeah, I've used the organic grape alcohol. It's really good. If you don't have it set up to reclaim it, though, it's very expensive. So yeah, it's pretty much. You can use Everclear too, but I'd recommend spending the money on the grape alcohol. But
I've never tried the grape alcohol, but you learn something new at every one of these cups, so that's why I keep coming to them. So I learned something.
yeah, I think that works better than Everclear. The Everclear leaves a little bit more sugar inside of it. From what I noticed when I do it, it leaves just a little bit more sugar, harder to get out. It's way easier actually for you if you're gonna do that. It's just way easier.
What's cool about the lab is that you start to see things before other people do, because they come out of the woodwork to kind of bounce it off that wall. And we're starting to see guys that are doing the wash with butane. So they're using the same solvent that they used in the first place. So that's also interesting too. So it's just starting to see different stuff.
Interesting. So how do you, if you're purging the butane out, you're then using the butane again to wash it?
No, they're using butane to do to get the waxes, fats, and lipids out. So they're using another solvent. They're using the same solvent because it's a solvent. It's doing the same thing. So, but that's one thing that I've been seeing and a lot of guys like it because you can take because what you also do is if you if people ask and you make something that you may have heated up too much and burned the terpenes off. Sour diesel is really sensitive. It's one that's tough to work with, so use that for example. What happens is that your material that you're finished with, maybe butter, but it's really dark. You can take that stuff and remove the waxes, fats, and lipids from it and turn it into a really beautiful, clear shatter. And you can do that using butane again, instead of using some of the alcohol and stuff. So.
Yeah, that's actually how I do most of my winterizations because I feel that it doesn't remove a lot of the terpenes that get removed through the alcohol, and a lot of the sugars in the alcohol. I sometimes get a harsh taste, and like if you don't use the grape alcohol. Yeah, I don't recommend trying this process. It's very dangerous because you have to concentrate the butane as a liquid. You need a good fume hood, a laboratory, an explosion-proof freezer. If that's what you're going to do, do not put liquid butane in your freezer. Do not put liquid butane in your freezer. You can use dry ice or something like that to keep it cold, but I really don't recommend doing that at home. It's not a home technique whatsoever. Liquid butane is very dangerous and very volatile.
But it works. Yeah, he's talking about $60,000 worth of equipment.
Yeah.
And I mean, we all have access to that stuff, but you can't. I mean, you can't do it without that stuff. You just can't do it.
You'll blow yourself up for sure because you run into a problem where you have to take that dark material and get it into glassware, and then you have to get butane into the glassware, and butane comes in a can for most people, so you'd find yourself horribly...
You find yourself exploded.
No, you find yourself standing outside, hopefully, blasting into a container, which would be blasting back up at you. You wouldn't want to cap it in any way either, so you'd be just screwed. You would blow yourself up probably, but maybe not. I wouldn't do it, but if you have a closed system, you can do it. There's a lot of ways that you can do it. You have to do it with a closed system. If you try it the other way, you have to be under a solvent hood with a static free floor and a lot of other cool things like that. So, like Batman or something.
So that brings up, back to the point about the dangers of creating it, incorrectly and stuff. And the other big pushback after the health risks have been kind of debunked is people saying, well, this is bad for the movement because people see it on TV or there's news reports and say, oh, there's this dangerous new form of pot on the market and it's, you watch out, your kids are going to get it and they're carrying blowtorches and, and it's kind of scary, I guess, if you're a parent of a little kid or something and you're not exposed to this kind of stuff like we are, and we're just like, oh yeah, it's safe, but they don't know, So what I try to do when I cover the issue in the magazine and moving forward, and what I'd like to try to get as many people in the scene to do is, kind of rally together because, and try to put a good face on this because the mainstream media is just picking up on this stuff now. I've been seeing the reports online. I know you guys have too. Videos of people blowing up, and now they've started issuing news reports. Are your children, dabbing? It's a dangerous new craze, and and I think it's important that we don't let that narrative be the one that takes over in the discussion, because that's the same narrative that was just say no and dare. It's not about the facts, it's not about the reality, it's about sensationalizing something to scare people, into being afraid of this new thing. And I think it's important that on our end we do everything we can to put the proper information out and put, a good face on it and say the things like, hey, this is safer. Hey, this is actually healthier for patients. This is more effective, So do you guys have any ideas about I'd love to see some kind of PR campaign put together eventually that maybe we can all all the cannabis industry people could kind of pool some of their money and do a PR campaign.
It's hard to get the good news out. All the news is doing is literally going off for all the bad stuff. Anytime somebody has an explosion or somebody not doing it right, they're all over it. You know what I mean? There's nobody going to say, oh, but for instance though, the last videos that I just seen, I'm not going to say who it was, but somebody that we all know was on it and he was dabbing the whole 9 yards, but they didn't say nothing about what he had to say. They showed him dabbing. That was it.
They didn't. None of the stuff that they actually interviewed him for and all that stuff. None of it went on the news. What went on the news? Him taking a dab and him being the guy that took all these dabs on YouTube. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, well, there was no positive at all from that, at all whatsoever. And he was like, well, I was trying to do something good. They didn't use that. They used only what they had, the negativity to do it. And here's the thing:
that's exactly why I'm saying we have to counter, because the mainstream media is not going to show positive things. They still won't show positive things about regular pot. So why would they do it about this? You know, but their job is to get ratings, and their job is to make their advertisers happy. So they're going to go with the sensationalism. But we need to make sure that we have a united front about what we put out, and we need to counter that. I feel.
I think the united front needs to realize that the media is fucked. That's really like the main part about it.
Absolutely. Like I did the show with Russ Belville, and they would film us often, and they would ask, could I get a picture of you taking a dab or a video of you taking a dab? Fuck no. Because I know exactly what you're going to show. You're going to show me with a big-ass torch for 3 seconds, and you're not going to show me actually laying down and being able to breathe, or me being able to, you know, have a kidney transplant, or get the fistula taken out of my arm because my kidney's working so good. You're not going to get my doctor on TV saying, actually, yeah, this helped him a lot. It's never going to happen. It's just not going to happen. So if someone asks to film you blowing a tube, or asks to film you taking a dab, no. I'll talk to you about the positive things that's coming out of this, but you don't need to watch me medicate. That's my business.
You know, I think right now it's like you're talking about where the industry's going and what's happening. It's like the age of alchemy, and when you have the alchemy, and then you have science, and you have math, and it's all black and white, and I think that's what really the campaign is we're 3 years past where we were in the first dab panel, right? And look how much you've learned so far. I think that's really what the campaign is just people using responsibly, getting a good benefit from it. You know, I used to smoke an ounce of weed in 3 days. I haven't smoked an ounce of weed in 3 years. So it totally changes really quickly, and I'm not consuming. And the other thing too is it's dangerous to smoke weed and drive around. But you have to live that. It's like you just can't, because you need it, right? So when you have dabs, you can take a dab, you can eat, you can send an email, you can drink some espresso, you can run an errand. You don't need another dab. You've got the medicine inside of you, you're doing good. You know, other thing, if in worst case scenario, if you're in a parked vehicle with the keys not in the ignition and you take a dab in a car and then you blow it out, 10 minutes later your car doesn't smell like a dab. So all the end of the smoking has kind of helped it and it evolved it. I think that with the science and with alchemy and all this other stuff, we're evolving really quickly. Like, I used to have to bring all this stuff. Now I just now my rig's like this big. That's the other thing. The rigs are tiny. They're like, well, no, yes, the torch is huge, but then the rig. But now you can go to Dougie's booth and get a torch that is a rig that is small. It's all.
But that's hard to hide from the cops in your car.
Well, you just break it on the ground, and then there's nothing left.
He was saying it's debatable sometimes about the smell. That's true, but I have gotten pulled over 15 seconds after taking a dab, and I mean, there's time to drop your bong and kick it under the seat. And
he was like, "I'm getting pulled over. I need to heat this nail."
Yeah.
Well, that's actually another good point to bring up is that
I was in the passenger seat. I really was. I only have one eye, man. Driving down
another point is the vapor pens that become so popular. I mean, these are tailor-made for dabs, for oil, and for wax, and they're super discreet. They're super easy to work, but you know, again, some people have concerns about what they're made of and what the temperature they're heating to is and whatever. So how do you guys feel about vapor pens? Do you use them, and if so, which ones are good?
If like I really, really have to, I'll use one. If I have to, like long flight, stuff like that, you know, in the airport. But yeah, I don't know, you know. But on the real, like, they're all made in China, and they don't care what they're made with. You're gonna die. They don't care. You could be killing you. They don't care. They do not care. It's all money. Don't forget it. Yeah, it's slick. It's easy. Oh, I can hide it. Cool. But I'm killing myself when I'm smoking that aluminum or that other stuff that I wasn't trying not to smoke. You know what I mean? You don't know what's in there. Like, just alone, there's silicone coated string that they put in there, like, to hold it in. Like, first off, I cut those out and ripped them out of every one I got. And, like, I never use that. It tastes like burnt. I don't even know what it tastes like. It tastes like, obviously not good, and it's not my oil that I'm tasting when I do get that thing hot. So, but I mean, do I endorse them? No. Do I think they're the greatest? No. Do I use them? If I have to.
take them out of the box and turn them on and see how much they smoke. I don't know. Yeah, if they come out of the box and they start smoking with no oil in them, which every single one I've ever got, yeah, man, I don't know. It's gross. It's gross. I'll use them if I have to. Like you said, long flights, we gotta go places sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much everyone I've hit just leaves kind of a nasty taste in your mouth, and like it tastes like plastic. I think there are a couple on the market that are relatively expensive that use good parts, but I can't recommend. I don't know, what ones. I don't use pens really.
There's a couple that have like real tie nails in the tank. I mean, is that not good enough? Or?
Yeah, I've never tried one.
I mean, once again, like, just don't buy cheap, weird shit and think that you're doing a good thing. Like, it's just what it comes down to.
If you show us one that's made in the USA that, like, highly educated makes, we'd probably be in.
See that?
I mean, we try it, but
maybe like 5 next year. Okay.
Yeah, I'll be skeptical of them for a long time.
I'm the same way. I use them for travel mostly, but there are really good ones. There are some other ones that are really bad. You just have to do your research and find the right ones. And like Weezy said, I mean, some of them you get that are even the best ones. You have to modify them a little bit. Some of them have ceramic as opposed to other components, and look for those types of things. They're usually more expensive, but all the expensive stuff is good, right?
Do we have any more questions from the audience? Anyone else have any questions? Anything else you guys would like to end with?
Yeah, buy a back purge oven, whatever you do.
Buy an oven and buy a pump, a good pump, and don't let your pump oil get on your hash oil. Those don't mix together.
Buy a scientific pump. Don't buy a pump that's made for HVAC equipment.
Yeah, don't buy one that's made for a refrigerator or something. That's not cool. Yeah, Across International is a really good company for ovens.
Cross International.
You get picked out, right?
I actually did not get paid. They gave me a 10% discount one time.
Dude, hook up that 10% discount. Seriously,
that's a wonderful deal.
For 10 minutes only, right now. If you go to the
no, I'm just kidding. No, but you know what? They advertise with High Times.
Yeah.
They're a great company out of New Jersey. I think a lot of guys are seeing the fact that they've sort of stepped up and step through the veil. There's a lot of these companies that are scientific companies that don't want to provide products for this industry. These guys said, you know what, fuck that, and they're providing products for this industry, so that's a cool thing about it.
Yeah, if you go on eBay and you look up Across International, it'll say for essential oil making. I mean, it's a thin veil,
I worked with Across Internationals. I took their box, I took it apart, I redesigned it, upgraded it, put crush-proof tubing in it, put a stinger that back gauge in it, did lots and lots of upgrades for that company, and they've got a new box coming out. It's a wonderful company. I really like them. They're actually doing a LN2 cold trap that is designed just for capturing terpenes, just for our industry. So they're a really good company. They really support the magazine and support our industry, so we should support them. Thanks.
That's great, yeah, because so many companies, not just in this industry, but hydroponics.
Yeah.
Even though their bread and butter is basically the pot business, they're so scared of being associated with it that they won't advertise with us. They won't admit we're growing tomatoes. We're growing tomatoes.
Well, the hydro industry is the worst for that. That's so frustrating. But with the Cross too, it's a great company because when you see the upgrade, what the cost is to go from a 0.9 cubic foot to a 1.9 cubic foot oven, which makes all the difference in the world. They're not gouging people, so it's. And the other thing is you'd see a company that would make that leap and would provide this product, but they jack their prices up. These guys aren't jacking up their prices. They've got good products, and I mean, they didn't pay any of us, but I think they pay him.
Well, that's all right. If a company does, that's one of the reasons you do reviews in the magazine is that if a company's doing something really right and they're creating a great product, we want people to know that. And there's nothing wrong with saying that, and same thing if it was some company making bad products.
Addison just mentioned about blasting onto silicone sheets or what are they called? Oil slick pads or any of that kind of stuff. I say the jury's still out. I don't really want to put butane onto plastic, butane onto silicone or anything else, and I don't endorse butane contact interact with ethanol alcohol with plastic or something like that, that's perfectly acceptable. But no, I don't really endorse any kind of contact. And also would like to, as I said before, encourage everybody not to throw away the waste from their winterization process because very, very soon, Frank and I will be doing a book that will teach how to capture this. So very, very soon, everybody will know how to capture the terpenes and the THCA. And I say it revolutionizes this whole thing just 100% in a one-year period. It'll be an incredible thing.
Cool, and yeah, we should also, that's back to the materials, which I didn't mention as part of the basics, which is you should only use Pyrex or stainless steel when you're blasting. You should never use any kind of plastics or even food grade plastics. I've heard.
I'm still seeing people use PVC. People telling me that they're using PVC. And please, if I ask you how did you purge this, please don't say the sun either. Dude, it works, I guess.
Hey, the sun works.
Yeah, no PVC, no plastic, no, not even food grade plastic, because that stuff can leach, and you don't want that stuff in your concentrate smoke. All right, if there's nothing else, guys, and if you guys don't have any more questions, then I guess we'll wrap this up. I want to say thank you give it up for all the panelists here. And thank all of you guys for coming and sitting and listening to us talk, and go enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you.
Follow Addison on Facebook.
Don't do that, whatever you do.